1, 2, 3, 4.
Screen time, screen time, screen time, screen time.
My screen time too.
Screen time, screen time.
Hello and welcome to It's My Screen Time Too, the podcast where two moms with no medical training would like to state for the record that 99 degrees is not a legit fever. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Katie.
And I have 3 kids. I have a 9-year-old named Tony and 6-year-old twins named Libby and Nate.
And I have 2 kids, a 3.5-year-old named Jay, who currently has a 99-degree fever. You can't see my air quotes, but I hope you can hear them. And an 8-month-old named Kenny. Our kids are pretty darn adorable, aren't they? Even when they're sick.
Actually, I find that a low-grade fever really mellows my kids out, so I don't mind it.
Yeah, they're just
all
super
sick.
snuggly.
Yeah.
So we always like to kick off the episode by telling a little story about how awesome or occasionally awful our kids are, because if we didn't get it out of our systems up front, it would just clutter the entire episode. So let's just take care of that. Deborah, what have your kids done lately?
To continue all the stories about my kids swearing, I have another good one. So Libby had a rash that required hydrocortisone cream, which really helps out, but it kind of stings when you put it on if your skin is itchy. And so I talked her into it, bribed her with candy, rubbed the cream on her arms, and she whispered, "Jesus Christ." And I was like, "Did you just say Jesus Christ?" And she kind of looked guilty and nodded. And I was like, this is a good time to swear.
Yes.
You can totally swear when you have to do something uncomfortable. You're in the privacy of your own bathroom. Go ahead. And so then she started jumping up and down, yelling at the top of her lungs, "Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ." But I felt like it was a really good teachable moment on when it's okay to swear, your skin hurts. Sure, you're in your bathroom, fine. When not to swear. They're Catholic school.
Yes. I think that's awesome. Way to parent, Deborah. That was a really, really great strategy, and I'm not being sarcastic at all.
She was so funny. It was so cute. If I were the type of parent to put my kids on YouTube, it would have gone viral, I think.
Just another throwback to another cute Deborah kid story from way, way back in the day. I don't know if you remember this, but there was one you said where Libby just kept mispronouncing the word apricot and would say apricot. I don't know if she's gotten over this yet. It's been a while. Probably 2 years. But Jay has been learning about the parts of a book at school, like the covers and the spine. And he's also been learning about the people who make the book, like the illustrator and the author. Mm-hmm. But instead of author, he insists that it's Arthur.
Oh, funny.
But he's insistent that his way is correct. No, Mommy, it's Arthur. Nobody author. No, Arthur.
Oh, that's cute.
It's pretty adorable. And also in other news, Kenny is so close to crawling. He just wants to move so bad, so I have to childproof, which sucks.
Oh, but crawling babies are the best. They're so cute.
All right, so moving on to real business. For our Screen Time in the News segment today, we chose a CNBC article called "Disney Plus is the Service Apple Wants." We've been talking quite a bit about the various streaming platforms available to us and what they're doing as far as kids content. And I think we can agree that Disney Plus is kind of being held up as the holy grail of kids content because, hey, it's Disney. They announced this a while back, and we've been waiting with bated breath for them to release it. And it's supposed to come out later this year. And pretty pretty much every parent I know is just already resigned to the fact that they're going to be paying for it.
Yeah. I mean, this article said $6.99 a month, which to me seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, they're trying to hook us,
Mm-hmm. And everything is going to be downloadable,
which is, again,
which is,
awesome for travel.
yeah, amazing, actually.
They're contrasting Disney's service and the announcement that Disney made about all this awesome stuff about their service, the price, the fact that everything's going to be downloadable, all this original content they're doing. They're doing new Star Wars stuff. They're doing new Marvel stuff. They're putting a ton of stuff exclusively on that service in addition to their back catalog. They announced it. Sounds awesome. I'm like almost happy to pay $7 a month for it. On the other hand, Apple announced their streaming service, Apple Plus, with like a big splashy event with a lot of celebrities, but no real information. So, like, we know Oprah and Steven Spielberg are involved somehow, but we have no real idea about the content of their programs, about the price point of the service, nothing like that.
You know, I don't have an iPhone. I'm not a Apple person, so I don't really pay close attention to it. I thought it was really interesting that this article suggested that Apple should buy Disney, will buy Disney, should have purchased Disney like last year. I don't know a lot about the entertainment or technology business, so I thought that was intriguing.
Definitely intriguing, kind of insane to think about what a content behemoth Disney has become with all its acquisitions of Pixar, of Marvel, of Lucasfilm. And then to pile Apple, if Apple had all of that content plus all of their control over the hardware, that's really intense. That's a lot of control over every aspect of our media consuming lives.
Yeah, it's crazy. And are we just going to be like on our devices watching Sister Act 3? Like when the oceans come crashing over us?
Stop, Deborah, stop. There's a Sister Act 3?
Yeah, that's one of the like teaser things for Disney Plus.
What? I am so there for it. Oh my gosh. Sister Act 2. Oh, such a touchstone of my music geek early high school days, right?
Totally. I loved the Sister Act movies for sure.
See, I'm happy to give them this money, but if Apple acquires them, you know that $6.99 price point is going away really quickly.
Do you think they would charge more for it?
Oh, I mean, even as a non-Apple user, you have to know that Apple products are insanely expensive, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I don't have an iPhone.
So I have to think they'd apply that same logic to their streaming service, right?
Oh, probably. And see, I would be afraid that they're going to make it only available on Apple products. That doesn't seem fair. I know that we live in a capitalist society and like nothing is fair, but the way it is now, you can get Netflix on any brand TV.
I don't know
or
that it
phone
would
or
be in their best interest to only offer it on Apple devices, because think about way back in the like first boom of iTunes and the 99-cent song, like when you could all of a sudden legally acquire all of this music, you could get all of that on your PC as well as your
that's true.
Apple device. And I think it's been pretty well established that worked out for them pretty well.
Right, that's true.
All right, so we will keep an eye on this, listeners. If you have any thoughts about the Disney Plus service, the Apple Plus service, any potential acquisitions, let us know. Hit us up on our Facebook page at facebook.com/myscreentime2 or tweet us at myscreentime2. Do we have any follow-up from our last episode?
Just generally, occasionally we talk about what we're watching in our adult screen time lives, and like we are at a loss for a new show.
Oh, wow.
So
how do you feel about The Mob?
I'm pro.
Okay. Because you watched quite a bit of Boardwalk Empire, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I always thought I was totally anti-mob stories. Don't at me, Twitter. Because I didn't like The Godfather. And I
Okay.
didn't make it all the way through Boardwalk Empire either. So much of it seemed cliche to me today that I put off and put off and put off watching this much lauded Netflix series called Peaky Blinders. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it, but haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
There are 4 seasons out. Kevin and I just started the second season. It's really good. So if you're looking for
Okay.
something that like has a lot of content out there already, I would recommend it.
I'm writing it down on a post-it note right now. Thank you. So today we're talking about the Netflix stop motion animated. I'm gonna say Phenom, but that is not what it is. But the title is Buddy Thunderstruck. It has 1 season out. It's by the creators of Robot Chicken. It follows the escapades of Buddy, who's a big rig driver, and he and his pal Darnell get into a lot of scrapes.
Yeah, is he a big rig driver or just like a big rig racer?
Big rig racer, I guess.
Truck racing is a thing that I know zero about. So, well, we'll get into it.
One, it has an interactive episode, which we're very into the interactive shows on Netflix. So we wanted to check that out. And Katie, you had watched an episode before, right?
I had started an episode before because, as you know, from way back in the day when we did our Shaun the Sheep episode, I love stop motion animation. I love the artistry of it. I love the intricacy of it. So I try to just keep my finger on the pulse there a little bit. I watched part of the pilot episode and was viscerally repulsed. I had to turn it off. I thought it was so bad.
Yeah.
So this was kind of take 2 for me and Buddy Thunderstruck.
Well, we watched the first episode, Buddy Double and Beaver Dam Quick Pizza. We also watched episode 7, Haters of the Lost Arcade / Stunt Fever. And then episode 13 is the interactive one, the Maybe Pile. And just FYI, you have to search for that separately. It's not, for me, it wasn't in the list of regular episodes.
Right.
But it's findable. It
Yeah.
was fine. So we'll start going through the episodes one by one, and then we'll move on to our more general thoughts about the show in general. Generally.
All right, so in general, my plot summaries are going to be super quick because not too much goes on, guys. This is not a deep show. This is not a DuckTales with a lot of intricacy.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first half of the pilot, Buddy Double, there is a double of Buddy going around town causing trouble. Like, Buddy Thunderstruck is a dog, and he is apparently a very good truck racer, and he is beloved in his community for whatever reason. So then this Buddy twin comes around and does all sorts of terrible things to make the town hate Buddy. This twin looks nothing like Buddy and is wearing a very poor Buddy costume, but everybody falls for it. So that was Buddy Double. In Beaver Dam Quick Pizza, there's a pizza company owned by 3 beavers that is super fast in their delivery, and Buddy is angry that they're faster than he is. And everybody says the pizza's really bad, but they order it anyway because it's so fast. So the episode is about Buddy trying to prove that he's faster than these very fast delivery beavers. What did you think about the pilot?
Oh, I did not love it. I mean, like, it's so violent. The characters are always punching each other, which I hated. And, like, it's mean punching and intended to hurt.
Yeah.
And my kids don't really engage in a lot of, like, hand-to-hand combat, but because we've been really adamant like that hands are not for hitting. And so and most kids shows don't have this kind of violence unless it's like really stylized like ninjas fighting. This
Right.
was really off-putting.
It definitely subscribes to the whole, physical violence is the way that men show that they like one another, that they're buddies.
Oh yeah.
Which is so retrograde. And I agree with you on that point.
The other thing I really didn't care for about any episode is like the characters say fart nugget when it's like an appropriate time to say a profanity, and I just didn't care for that either.
You prefer your kids use the real deal swear words?
I'm kind of a fan of SpongeBob profanity substitutions, like barnacles. That one works for me.
All right, so no fart nugget in the Copperroot households.
There were a couple of funny things, like Buddy and Darnell go to break out the Buddy Thunderstruck impersonator out of jail, and like they trick the sheriff and they challenge them to a dance off, and the sheriff is like, "No, I'm a really good dancer. I took a hip hop audio course." I thought that was a hilarious line, but that was pretty much all I liked about it.
See, I didn't even remember that. It was very much a skewering of American Southern culture in a way that did not seem kind or coming from a place where they knew the culture so they could skewer it because they were a part of it or anything like that. It was just very much those coastal elites thinking it would be funny to make a show about how stupid Southern race car drivers are, and ha ha ha.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure if it was supposed to be making fun of them because it was so not funny. It was hard for me to tell if it was like sincere or ironic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you want to talk briefly about episode 7?
Yes. So in this one, Haters of the Lost Arcade, Buddy and Tex Jr., he's like a warthog.
Yeah, I think so. Or a boar,
They
maybe?
have-
A wild boar.
They have this competition on 2 really old video games because one has been dumped at Buddy Thunderstruck's cousin Muncie's restaurant. And Buddy and Darnell are charged with getting rid of it, but then they decide it would be fun to play it. And Tex Jr. like gets one delivered. He like pulls his phone out. He gets one delivered, and it's like immediately there by drone, which is kind of a funny commentary on Amazon Now fast delivery options in our current life. There's like a gold trophy inside for whoever wins it. There's like this scary guy. Turns out was the original developer. And when they finally do crack how to win the game, his like long lost partner, this little bearded mouse, is living inside the trophy. It was really bizarre. And then in Stunt Fever, Buddy and Darnell like pick up like an aunt or something, take her to the dentist, and then watching TV in the waiting room, which is like folding chairs outside a RV dentist office, which like not that funny.
Yeah.
And they see a stunt show on television, so they decide to do their own stunt show. Then this other character rates Buddy's stunts, and then he has competition from yet another character. I can't remember the guy's name. And Buddy is just can't figure out why this guy keeps getting better ratings than him until he finally figures out that audiences only like stunt fails. So it's only when he gets into accidents instead of actually like jumping over a bunch of on fire toilets.
Yeah, or 2 defenseless babies.
Yeah, it was only when he gets like a lot of likes for his stunts.
I don't even know what to say. No, that's not true. I do know what to say. We have a whole podcast about it. This is terrible.
There was still a lot of punching.
Yeah, and like the comedy, quote unquote comedy, comes from the fact that these characters are, putting themselves in terrible danger and
Hmm.
failing in their stunts in ways that would kill an actual person. And to top it all off, it's just not funny.
I know. Not to us.
Should we be making content that encourages people to think this is funny? You know, I
I know. I mean, I would say no. There's clearly a market for it. I mean, I can envision like what the writer's room of this show looks like.
go on.
I mean, it's probably a bunch of dudes who have a specific type of humor and think it's funny to lampoon like people who live in RVs and drive big trucks.
Thanks for contributing to the divisive nature of American culture.
Yeah. So, should we move on to the maybe pile?
Yes, because at least we can talk about some attributes other than the plot. Okay, so the maybe pile finds Buddy and Darnell trying to think of something to do, and they can't come up with any ideas, so they go to their maybe pile, which is a brown bag full of all the ideas that they decided to save for another day. And the way the interactivity works is Darnell picks two options out of the maybe pile, and he says, should we do blah or blah? And then you get to pick which one they do and see. All the ideas in the maybe pile are truly terrible. So they do a bunch of things from the maybe pile, and at the end they're like, that was a terrible idea, but a friend comes up to them and is like, maybe it wasn't a terrible idea, maybe it was just all about the experience, maybe you're a better person for it. And that's how the episode ends.
And they are all really bad ideas. Like one of them I picked was let's drink 3 espresso shots. And like I totally remember in a time in my life when like it would have sounded fun to drink 3 espresso shots and see what happened when you were all hyped up. Like there was a time when that was a fun thing to do, and now I'm like, ooh, more than 1 cup of coffee, and like I'm gonna get like social anxiety.
See, I did not pick that one. I picked the other one, but
Was it garbage pizza?
oh yeah, it was garbage pizza. Yeah, so they made a pizza with like every topping they could possibly find at the restaurant, and it was predictably disgusting, but then there was a really long fart gag where the garbage pizza made
Oh.
them fart a lot to the point where other customers were like, stop it. And they were like, not gonna lie, this isn't gonna end anytime soon. Super long, disgusting fart noises. Ugh.
Yeah, not my type of humor.
So cheap. Just everything about this is a waste of a beautiful animation technology on inferior plot.
So should we move on to our overall thoughts about the show? Like, I have a question. Is this for kids? It's rated for 7 plus. But I just get the feeling that this is made like for a certain type of bro by a certain type of bro.
Yeah, refresh my memory on Robot Chicken. Was that a Cartoon Network joint?
Yeah, I think so.
And it was along those lines, like made for bros by bros, right?
I think so. I mean, there's like Muncie, the cousin who owns the restaurant. She's like the only named female character. It doesn't pass the Bechdel test. There's no other female characters.
And it's not like other kids' shows, like it doesn't endeavor to teach any lessons. It is just like, I mean, you have 2 boys and a girl. I only have 2 boys, so I don't know if this is unique to boys, but those certain friends that one of your sons has that are just like crazy pants and like can't settle and constantly like throwing things or hitting each other or like boys like that. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like those boys would love this show.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely more Jackass style humor. Like, remember that wholesome YouTube dude show we watched?
Dude, perfect.
Dude Perfect. Yeah, this is way more Jackass than Dude Perfect.
Oh, definitely. I would watch Dude Perfect over this every time.
Yeah.
Now I want to go throw a playing card through an olive.
So, stupid heroes are a time-honored TV trope, especially in kids' programs. How do you think Buddy stacks up
Here's the thing.
to other dim-witted heroes?
There is pretty much always a stupid character in a kid's show, but it's virtually never the protagonist. Like, it's always one of the friends is a little dimmer than the others.
Joey, or like a Joey.
Like a Joey, yeah.
Yeah.
In this, they just went ahead and made everybody stupid. Well, I think it's lazy. I think is bad for humanity. Just to be valorizing that kind of behavior.
Right. Did you like any character? I'll start. I liked those little beaver pizza delivery guys. I thought they were kind of adorable.
Yeah, I mean, they were
And
scamming.
they didn't have any dialogue.
That's true. And they were running an awesome scam where they were making their pizzas out of wood chips, but people still ate them because their delivery was so fast. I did not hate Tex Jr.
Okay.
No, let me go back on that. I hated him less than I hated the others because I felt like in any other show, he would have been the dim friend. It was a character type I was familiar with. Like, he was always getting things wrong, but usually was, if not well-intentioned, less poorly intentioned than Buddy and Darnell. But that's as far as I can go about liking any of the characters.
Any voice actors that stood out?
At no point was I like, this is a super crappy accent. Does that count as a compliment?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
good. I feel
yeah.
good.
So for me, the animation style, like I loved the background and I actually liked the puppets.
Mm-hmm.
The animation style, though, was really, really fast. Like a lot of camera switches, a lot of frames per second. Really jerky, too.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not the stop motion animation aficionado that you are. So I'm really curious to hear what you thought of it.
Yeah, I guess I would make an analogy to how South Park looks in comparison with regularly animated shows. You know, it has a feel that it was just kind of put together in somebody's basement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that was intentional, but that is not at all what I love about stop motion animation. I love how fluid it can be. I love how simultaneously lifelike and artificial it can be. And I just feel like they threw all that out the window in this one.
Okay, so in your opinion, it was not good stop motion animation?
In my opinion, what they did in my opinion, it's like I'm testifying in court. This is an episode of The Good Wife. In your opinion, I did not care for it, but I'm sure it was an intentional choice on their part. I don't think they were just bad at it.
No, I think it was I think they were going for a certain aesthetic.
Yeah. You know how sometimes we watch computer generated animation in shows and we're like, well, that was just bad because they didn't have much money or whatever. In this case, I do feel like it was, I'm going to say artistic choice, but I don't even want to dignify this with an artistic label. Ugh.
It's interesting that you mentioned South Park. That's another one that I was thinking of when I was like, is this for kids or not? Because South Park is a really good show.
Yeah, and branding wise, I mean, South Park is on Comedy Central, which is kind of why I asked about Cartoon Network, although we know Cartoon Network does stuff for kids and stuff that's not for kids. But Comedy Central, I feel like, is pretty universally recognized as a grown-up channel.
Yeah, the music I thought was another clue in that for just a really narrow segment of the Netflix watching population, because it was very different from the kids show's music. It was like guitar licks, really hard rock, like bordering on heavy metal. in the theme song and in the little transition moments.
It was all of a piece. It made sense. It wasn't jarring.
Hmm. So did you compare it to any adult movies or TV shows?
Can I just say, because I worry that in this whole conversation I've come off as like a horribly stuck up person who hates fun and hates stupid humor. In my defense, I live in the South, and I have not always lived in the South, but I love living in the South, and I hate that stereotype that people in the South are slow and stupid. And
you've enjoyed your share of NASCAR rallies.
yes, I have been
Races.
to many a NASCAR race. I wouldn't say that I enjoyed them, but again, that's just because they're not for me, not because I think there's anything inherently wrong with them. I take it personally, I guess. I'm enough of a Southerner at this point to take it personally when I feel like my people are being attacked.
Yeah, good. I like your perspective. Well, for me, I thought of Talladega Nights,
Yeah, same.
which is that a funny movie or not? It's been a few years and maybe it doesn't hold up.
I've been forced to watch it a bazillion times, I think is the accurate count,
Okay.
because, well, I have been to several NASCAR races, dear listeners. My husband is an ardent NASCAR fan, so he loves that movie. So he apparently doesn't see it as making fun of NASCAR culture. But I did think that this style of humor was straight on the line Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly style.
Okay.
We've brought up the show New Girl before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that show started out really cute, and then in later seasons, they decided the way to create characters was to give them like just a series of really bizarre quirks and make them not humans at all. Just like,
Oh, yeah.
just give them like one identifiable super wacky thing about them, and that would be enough. So, in that sense, that kind of reminded me of this. Or this kind of
Okay.
reminded me of that. But yeah, none more so than everything starring Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Have you seen their other movies as well? Like,
I love them as a comedy duo. Like I thought Step Brothers, is that the one? I thought that was hilarious. Holmes and Watson is on my list of to see movies, but like Jeremy will not watch anything that has a Rotten Tomatoes score of, I'm not sure what his threshold is, but he won't watch that one because it got such a poor rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
that's hilarious.
I could just watch it by myself, of course, but I haven't.
So as usual, we're coming at this from opposing viewpoints because that kind of humor just isn't my jam. I don't.
Mm-hmm. Did you cast the gritty HBO reboot?
Okay, so this past weekend, this is a long diversion.
Okay.
This past weekend, I went to see a stage production of School of Rock, the musical.
Oh, wow.
And I really loved the movie School of Rock. I thought it was very funny. It is like the number one thing I have ever seen Jack Black in. I think he was born to play that character.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the stage version was just as charming and totally reminded me of how much I liked that movie. So I think, that pairing of Jack Black and I think it's Mike White who plays his roommate in the movie. I think they would be a good live action duo to tackle this sort of buffoonery in a way that really emphasized the physical comedy of it, which is, I think, how you could maybe pull it out of the muck.
Right.
So I thought either those two or we could do a gender swap and have it be Rebel Wilson and Aquafina.
Oh,
I
I love that. Yeah.
I think they'd be a good duo. And really, I don't even care which one would be Buddy and which one would be Darnell. I think they could both do both.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I just read Jill Soloway's book, She Wants It. and she's a creator of the Netflix or Amazon show Transparent.
Problematic.
Yeah, she no longer identifies as a binary gender, so she uses they pronouns, which is hard for me to tuck in, I guess. But they address it in the She Wants It book. And it's a really, really good memoir, and just accounting of what it was like to live through the Me Too movement as it was happening, and have like be the boss of something where something problematic happened. But anyway, at one point in the book, Jill Soloway and her partner at the time, they write this like big manifesto about how to topple the patriarchy. And it's like super really radical and fun to read. And they're like, for the next 100 years, men can't be in charge of anything. So inspired by that manifesto, I would say let's get like an all-female crew, an all-female stop motion animation crew, an all-female writer's room, and see what they come up with. And let's have it be like people who are underemployed in Hollywood, no names, like voice actors, and just see what happens. And it could be so good. I don't care. Like, just start with like maybe give them like the background of Buddy Thunderstruck and have them build everything from the ground up. And I bet it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be better than Buddy Thunderstruck.
So the problem when you're underrepresented is that every representation ends up having to represent everyone. And I love the idea of giving women a chance to find the funny in something as ridiculous as Buddy Thunderstruck, because clearly that's not going to be something that everyone can point to and be like, yes, this represents all women. Does that make any sense? You're giving me a look. Am I just being crazy today?
No, I like it. And I should have said, because Jill Soloway is a big advocate for people who don't identify like with a gender binary. It should be like basically non-male identifying persons.
Yeah, I thought of that too as I was saying it. I was like, all female? No, not really what we're going for. Can I just ask as a side note, did you watch Transparent?
Yeah, I really, really loved it.
Really? I never saw it just because I was never a big Jeffrey Tambor fan. Not because I knew any of the stuff that later came out about him. I don't know. I did not love Arrested Development.
I didn't watch much of that. I also, after reading this book, I watched Afternoon Delight, which is on Amazon, and it's a film that Jill Soloway won Best Director for, I think at Sundance or something.
Ooh.
It was really, really good. Catherine Hahn is in it.
I do like Catherine Hahn.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll check it out. And the book sounds great too. I might audiobook it.
Yeah, it was really good. So we had Wallace and Gromit when we were kids.
Yes. Oh.
So do I even need to ask, was it better when we were kids?
Oh my gosh, Deborah, we had Gumby. Gumby was better than this. Like,
yeah.
But you're right. Wallace and Gromit will forever be the pinnacle for me of how beautiful stop motion animation can be. That's how I fell in love with it. So heck no, it was so much better when we were kids.
I don't think we even need to cover would we ever watch this alone voluntarily. So let's skip ahead to 10 seconds on whether this is good for our kids.
I mentioned before those friends that every kid has that are just crazy and kind of violent and messy and all over the place, that like you let them hang out with because they're friends, but you hate the way they behave for like weeks after hanging out with them.
Yeah.
I feel like Buddy Thunderstruck is those friends.
I mean, I kind of think this is better than Fortnite, the like shooter video game.
Okay.
But if that's the standard by which we're comparing things to, like, anything's better than Fortnite, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
You're right. So if it's a scale of 1 to 100, I guess if I gave that a 0, I would give this a 1, but that's not high praise.
Yeah, what would you rate it?
Ugh. Can that be my rating? I don't want to give it a 0 just because it's stop motion animation and I want to like rep for the art form, but I kind of gotta give it a 0. Again, I had the same kind of visceral reaction to it. I just across the board did not like it. We can do better for representation of the South in television and movies. We can do better.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 2 because I didn't hate the interactive episode.
Oh, yeah, we didn't really get much into the technology. I have to say that I had to watch it twice because the first time I watched it on my computer, and there is no way to make the choices on the computer.
Yeah, remember when that happened
Yeah.
to me? Yeah.
Did you think it was as successful as Stretch Armstrong, which was the other interactive episode we watched?
I mean, that was just a better show.
Mhm.
It's hard to compare. I thought, I don't know, it's fun to make those choices. I guess it doesn't matter what the show is if I feel like I have a little bit of control.
I feel like when people sit down to figure out how these interactive episodes will work, one of the major hurdles that they probably discuss is how will we still advance the plot in a way that we want to with people making all these decisions. And I feel like this is the lazy person's solution to that, which is just have the episode be not about any sort of plot. And then people can make whatever decision they want because it's just a series of short vignettes. So, I mean, a good way to practice the technology. I'm still looking forward to see what more can be done with it. All right. Anything else about Buddy Thunderstruck?
No, goodbye, Buddy
Oh,
Thunderstruck.
yes. Let's put this dog down. Oh, sorry for that, but it had to be said. Thanks for listening to this episode of It's My Screen Time Too. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can check out our excellent new website at myscreentime2.com, but you can still find us on Facebook to continue the conversation at facebook.com/myscreentime2. That's also where you'll find out what we're covering in our next episode if you'd like to watch along with us. You can tweet us with show or movie suggestions, article recommendations, or general comments at myscreentime2, or you can email us at myscreentime2@gmail.com. Our theme music was composed and performed by Deborah and her adorable children, and our podcast is produced by me, Katie. Guys, we have a super exciting episode planned for next week. We will have a guest host, which we haven't done in a while, and we're very excited about. So please tune in next time for more real talk about the movies and TV beloved by kids and tolerated by parents. Bye.
Bye.
My screen time too.
You know, when you buy your son an Iron Man costume, it's not going to look like the real Iron Man costume, but the Power Rangers is so attainable. Like, it's
Yeah.
actually going to be the sword the Power
Yeah.
Rangers use.